Are you thinking about living and working in Southeast Asia? Whether you want to be a digital nomad, work as an employee, or start your own business, the rules can be very different depending on the country. In this video, I'll break down the key regulations and opportunities for expats in the Philippines and Cambodia. From visa options to business ownership laws, I'll give you a clear professional overview, plus insights from my own experience of working in Manila, running remote work, and now operating a business in Cambodia, so you will know exactly what's possible before you make the move. Let's start with the Philippines, where I spent over a decade living and working. If you want to work locally as an expat, you usually need a 9G work visa, sponsored by your employer. This requires an alien employment permit from the Department of Labor and Employment. When I worked in Manila, I started on a standard 9G visa for office employment. Later, my employer moved me to a Philippine Economic Zone Authority (PEZA) visa, which is designed for employees in PEZA registered economic zones. This visa provides faster processing, multiple entry privileges, and easier renewals. It is tied to your employer, so when employment ends, you must officially downgrade your visa. For foreigners looking for other employment opportunities in the Philippines, there are a few options. If you speak a language other than English, for example Spanish, French, Japanese, German, or other languages, you can find work in BPO companies and call centers, as the Philippines is the second largest hub after India. Filipinos speak English as their second official language. So if you are a native English speaker, finding a BPO job can be harder, but niche positions in technical support, language-specific services, or international accounts are possible. After my office job, I transitioned to remote work, living in the Philippines. Until recently, there was no official digital nomad visa, so most expats relied on tourist visas with extensions or special long-stay visas. In 2025, the Philippines launched a digital nomad visa, valid for 12 months and renewable once. Requirements include proof of remote work for clients outside the Philippines, a minimum foreign income of approximately $24,000 per year, health insurance, and a clean criminal record. Working for local companies or clients is not allowed under this visa. From my experience, remote work in the Philippines is practical and offers lifestyle flexibility, but managing visa status and long-term compliance is essential. The new digital nomad visa will simplify this for future expats. Now let's move to Cambodia, where I have been living for the past 2 years. For foreigners who want to work here, the most common legal option is an E-class business visa combined with a work permit and employment card. Employers must register with the Ministry of Labor and get approval for foreign staff quotas. Many foreigners find work as English teachers, as English proficiency among Khmer people is still limited and demand for quality teachers is high. Other opportunities exist in NGO organizations, although these are usually geared toward volunteers rather than full-time employees. For digital nomads, Cambodia does not yet have a dedicated visa. Many remote workers rely on tourist visas for short-term stays, while providing services to clients outside the country. Officially, working for local Cambodian clients without a work permit is not allowed. From my experience, living and working legally as an expat in Cambodia requires careful attention to visa and work permit rules, but the process is generally simpler and more flexible than in the Philippines. Opportunities for teaching or remote work make Cambodia an attractive destination for foreigners seeking employment or remote work in Southeast Asia. Now let's talk about running a business in the Philippines. For foreigners, owning a business in the Philippines is restricted under the Foreign Investment Negative List, which means that only certain industries can be 100% foreign-owned. In practice, this mostly applies to large-scale investments, such as hotels, resorts, and other significant enterprises, where the required paid-in capital can reach 25 million pesos, or roughly $450,000 US. This makes starting a fully foreign-owned business out of reach for most individual expats. Because of this, many foreigners choose to partner with a Filipino spouse or girlfriend to set up a business. While this can make the process easier, it carries significant risks. There are cases where ownership is only nominally in the Filipino partner's name through dummy agreements, which is not advisable. Legal complications can arise if relationships end or disputes occur. For smaller businesses with lower investment, the common structure is a 60-40 partnership, where 60% of the business is in the Filipino partner's name and 40% belongs to the foreigner. This allows the business to operate legally while keeping initial investment lower. But again, it requires trust and proper legal documentation. Typical types of businesses that expats pursue under these conditions include small restaurants, cafes, boutique shops, and service-oriented ventures. Fully foreign-owned options are generally limited to larger capital-intensive projects. From my experience, navigating business ownership in the Philippines requires careful planning, legal guidance, and realistic expectations about investment size and ownership restrictions. Many expats underestimate the complexities, which can lead to risky arrangements or disputes later on. Understanding these rules before starting a business is crucial if you want to operate legally and protect your investment. Now let's talk about starting a business in Cambodia, which many expats find much easier than in the Philippines. For smaller ventures, the most common setup is a sole proprietorship, perfect if you're starting a small cafe, shop, or service business. If you're thinking bigger, like a larger company or a project requiring more investment, a private limited company, LTD, is usually the way to go. Both options allow 100% foreign ownership, which is a big plus compared to the Philippines and other countries in Southeast Asia. One thing to keep in mind, most official documents are in Khmer. If your Khmer is limited to ordering noodles and saying thank you, good luck filling out all the forms yourself. That's why the best approach is to go through a professional agency. There are plenty of them, but not all are created equal. Do your homework. Check Facebook expat groups, ask around, and find someone reliable and recommended. The process usually takes about 4 to 6 weeks if everything goes smoothly, but having a good agent will save you headaches and extra trips to government offices. Trust me, it's worth it, unless you enjoy navigating bureaucratic mazes just for fun. Cambodia makes it quite straightforward for foreigners to get started, but the key is to plan ahead and work with someone who knows the ropes. That way, you can focus on growing your business rather than translating government forms at 2 a.m. Tips for digital nomads. Philippines. If you're planning to work remotely in the Philippines, coworking spaces are mostly limited to Manila and Cebu. But if you prefer working alone, you can actually find some incredible provincial spots with reliable fiber optic internet. For example, I lived and worked remotely for over 4 years on Bantayan Island in Santa Fe. I had over 200 Mbps from the Globe provider. Yes, really fast for a small island. If you choose a smaller island or a more remote province, consider investing in a power generator, as power cuts can happen from time to time. The key is to do your research. Check online, reach out to local communities, and confirm internet speed and reliability before committing. Cambodia. In Cambodia, the main expat hubs like Phnom Penh or Siem Reap are very safe and reliable. Power cuts are rare in Phnom Penh, and in Siem Reap, where I live, they do happen, but not often. Internet speeds between 100 to 200 Mbps are common, so remote work is feasible without much trouble. I don't have personal experience working in rural Cambodia, so if you plan to venture outside the cities, make sure to ask other expats in local Facebook groups and verify both power and internet reliability before you move. My business registration experience in Cambodia. Before I left the Philippines and moved to Cambodia, I was already preparing. I spent about 1.5 years doing research, not just on living here, but specifically on how to set up a business. I knew from the start that I wasn't going to handle all the paperwork myself. My plan was clear: process both the business visa and the company registration through an agency. That's the most hassle-free way to do it here. And for those of you interested, I'll leave a link to the agency I used in a pinned comment below this video. I've been using their services for 2 years now, and I recommend them to other expats as well. When I first arrived on an E-type visa, I went to the agency to ask about the extension. They told me, "You need a lease contract first." It didn't happen overnight. It actually took me a few days to find the right place, but only because I had been in touch with real estate agents for about a year before moving here. Once I signed the lease, I went back to the agency and we moved forward. Another important part of the process is the business name. Technically, you can choose just one name, but the government has to approve it. To make things smoother, the agency asked me to provide 2 backup names. If the first one isn't approved, they immediately check the next. So, prepare at least 3 options before you start. At some point, they also asked me to open a business bank account. I recommend ABA Bank. It's the most popular here, very straightforward, and almost every business I know uses it. The whole registration took about 6 weeks in my case. It can be shorter or longer depending on your situation. Honestly, the agency handled nearly everything. The only time I had to show up in person was at the tax office for an interview. For that, make sure you bring someone who speaks both Khmer and English. They'll translate for you, and believe me, you don't want any misunderstandings in the tax office. The good news is that my company is registered 100% under my name, with all the necessary registrations and licenses also in my name. And that's something I really value compared to other countries in the region. So that's how I got my business up and running in Cambodia. It's a boutique hotel right in the heart of Siem Reap, and it's been operating now for 2 years. I'll introduce it properly in one of my next videos. Running a hotel here has been a whole new chapter in my journey, and it gives me a front row seat to expat life and tourism in Cambodia. If you're curious about how it works behind the scenes, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned.